Hey there, Morgan here from Crafting a Lovely Life, and today I'm going to show you how to make these super cute Christmas coasters using your Cricut and Infusible Ink transfer sheets. These coasters are super easy to make and would make awesome Christmas gifts this year. I can't wait to show you how to make them, so let's get started. The first thing we are going to do is open up a new project in Cricut Design Space. Then we can upload all of our designs for this project. Be sure to download the designs below so you can make these coasters with me. Once you have all 4 designs uploaded, you can turn off all of the designs except for one. This will give us a bit more space to work with. Today we are also going to be learning how to use the weld and slice features in Design Space. I wanted to teach you how to do this instead of just giving you the coaster designs completely ready to go. This way, in the future, you can turn any design you have into a coaster if you want. So now we are going to select the Shapes option and create a circle. Then we are going to resize the circle to fit on our coaster. The Cricut Infusible Ink coasters are 3.6 inches, so we are going to make our circles just slightly bigger. So let's set the width to 3.7 inches. Next, we are going to duplicate the circle so that we have 4 circles to work with, one for each coaster. Now we can move over our first design so it's right on top of the first circle. If the design is behind the circle, click the Arrange button and select Move Forward. Then you can resize the design to fit inside of the circle. For each design, I did about 3 inches wide. Now we need to get the design centered on the circle. So to do this, you will just click and drag to select both the circle and the design. You can see that for this first design, if I select Center Vertically under the Align option, the design looks a bit too low on the circle. So for this specific design, I'm going to move it up to where I think it looks best. Now you can click the Align button again and select Center Horizontally. The next step is to slice the Merry Christmas design out of the circle. You will notice that if I just select the design in the circle, the slice option is not available. That is because you can only use the slice feature with 2 layers, and right now my Merry Christmas design has many layers. So in order to make the Merry Christmas design just 1 layer, we need to weld it together. So select the Merry Christmas design and click Weld. You can see now that it's just 1 layer. Now we can click and drag to select the circle and the design, and the slice feature will be available. So click Slice to cut the Merry Christmas design out of the circle. Next, you can click and drag the Merry Christmas design away from the circle. Click the X to delete that layer. Then click and drag the circle over a bit. Click the X to delete the Merry Christmas that was cut out of the circle. Now your first coaster is ready to go. We are going to repeat this process for all 4 coasters. So turn on the next design, resize it to about 3 inches, and move it over to the second circle. Select Arrange and Send to Front. Now click and drag to select the design and the circle so we can get this design centered. For this design, you can select Align and Center Horizontally, then select Align again and Center Vertically. Next, select the design and click Weld. Now you can click and drag to select the design and the circle and click Slice. Then move the design away from the circle and delete it. Next, move the circle over and delete the design that was cut out of it. Now your second coaster is ready to go. I'm going to just do the other 2 coasters really quick using the exact same steps as before, so you can just follow along with the video for this part. Now that we have all 4 coasters ready to go, we can click Make It. Since we are using Infusible Ink, we will also need to mirror our mat. So select the mirror option and then click Continue to select your material type. We are using Infusible Ink sheets, so select that option for your material. If you are on a computer instead of a tablet or phone, you can also select more pressure, which I do recommend when cutting infusible ink. It makes it much easier to weed. That option is currently only available on the computer, but if you only have a tablet or phone, you can just select infusible ink sheets as your material type. If you are using an Explore machine, you'll want to turn the dial to Custom and then select Infusible Ink Sheets in Design Space. Now we are ready to place the infusible ink on a standard grip mat with the ink side up. I forgot to do this here, but I typically like to use a brayer tool to make sure the material is really stuck to the mat. So if you have a brayer tool, I recommend using it before you load the mat. Now you can load the mat and start cutting. When the machine is done cutting, you can unload your mat and remove the infusible ink. Before we start weeding the design, we can go ahead and cut apart the coasters and trim off the excess infusible ink to use for a future project. To weed the infusible ink, you will want to first gently bend the infusible ink sheet back and forth to help release the cut parts of the design. This will make weeding much easier. Then you can use your fingers to remove the infusible ink pieces in the center of the circle. Do not remove the circle part of the design since that is the part that we want on the coasters. Now you can peel off the extra infusible ink around the outside of the circle. Cricut's heat guide recommends setting the easy press temperature to 400 degrees and the time to 240 seconds. It also has a caution here to make sure that you are using infusible ink in a well-ventilated area. I usually have a window open, have a fan running to circulate air, and I actually also use a mask anytime I'm using infusible ink. You may not need to do all of that, but I'm very sensitive to this material type, so just make sure you're using it safely. Go ahead and set your easy press temperature to 400 degrees and the time to 240 seconds. Quick pro tip, once you select the time button, you can hold down the plus button on the easy press to get it up to 240 seconds faster without hitting the button a million times. To prepare the coasters, you want to wipe them down with a lint-free cloth to make sure there's no dirt or dust on them. If you have anything on the coasters when you heat the infusible ink, it will leave spots on the coasters. Now we are going to cut down the plastic backing sheet on the infusible ink, so we are just left with the circles. Next, we can start to place the infusible ink onto the coasters. Line it up so the entire coaster is covered. Then we will use some heat-resistant tape to keep the infusible ink in place while we heat it. Before we start heating, you will want to place a piece of white cardstock on top of your easy press mat to protect it from any infusible ink transferring to it. Then place your coasters onto the piece of cardstock with the ink side facing down on the cardstock. Now you can place 4 layers of butcher paper on top of the coasters. The infusible ink sheets should have come with butcher paper for you to use for this purpose. Now you are ready to place your easy press on top of the coasters. Make sure your easy press is covering every part of the coasters. Then start the timer on the easy press and just let it sit there. You do not want to apply any additional pressure to the easy press. Now I knew better than this, but I was impatient and decided to use some tools to get the tape off of the hot coasters. What you should do is actually wait until the coasters are completely cool. The reason you want to wait is because removing the paper too soon can cause ghosting on your coasters, which you can see happened a bit on the edge of my Merry Christmas coaster. So I know it's super hard to wait, trust me, I know, but please wait until your coasters are cooled all the way down to remove the tape and paper. Once they are cooled, peel off the tape and paper to reveal your awesome new coasters. How cool is infusible ink? It's one of my favorite materials to use because the ink is actually infused into the product, meaning it will last a very, very long time. I absolutely love how these coasters turned out and can't wait to make more. These coasters would be an awesome Christmas gift paired with a cute homemade mug. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and get a chance to make your own set of Christmas coasters this year. Be sure to subscribe below so you can follow along each week as I share new crafty projects. Don't forget to grab this design on my website listed below. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!